Making fabric stamps are a great little project to use up all of those extra scraps you have, and you don't even need to know how to sew to make them, which makes it even easier for your family and friends to join in on the fun. All you need to make these is some fabric scraps or pieces of fabric cut up in whatever size you like. I make all different sizes of these. Then you will need some background fabric for the back of the stamp. I use white, and then some Steam-A-Seam. And this is what that package looks like. I also use an older scissors, and when my rotary cutter is about done and kind of dull, I also use a rotary cutter, and the reason I say old is because as you're cutting these up, they can get a little sticky. You will need 2 sheets of the Steam-A-Seam, one for the printed part of the stamp and one for the background part. First, I take one of those and remove the paper on the side that does not have the grid lines. And then I just start placing all of my little stamp scrap pieces all around the sheet to fill it up. And it is totally fine if they overlap a little bit. I don't like to waste any of it, so I like to fill it up as much as I can. And then you follow the directions on the package and go ahead and iron them on. I like to put the previously removed paper back onto the top because there are some gaps in where my stamps are and I don't want the sticky part of the Steam-A-Seam to stick to my iron. And then once you have ironed it, you can go ahead and start cutting these out. So I cut them out kind of one at a time, and I also square them up at this point with a ruler and my rotary cutter so that all of the edges are even. And then we'll also need to take that other sheet of Steam-A-Seam and make our background of the stamps. Again, I'm removing the top paper, not the side with the grid lines on it. And then I just like to use white for the background. So I'm using some scrap white fabric. My piece actually wasn't big enough, so I used 2 pieces on this. And then again, just iron it down like you did with the top of the stamps. And once you have done that, you can start putting the top of the stamps right on here. So you remove the back part, and then it should be sticky, and you go ahead and stick it on the background fabric. Then I keep doing these with all of my scrap stamp pieces, and I make sure they're about 1/2 inch apart because you want enough room to be able to cut these out, and they have that little like zigzag edge. Once you have all of these on here, again, you go and iron it again, and you should have a sheet that kind of looks like this. Next, you're going to take some pinking shears. These are those scissors with the zigzag edges, and start cutting them out. You can go as close or as far away from the printed part of the stamp as you want. And I just kind of roughly cut these out and then clean them up once I get them away from the sheet with all of the other stamps, and just cut around all 4 edges till I am happy with how it looks. And that is it. That is how you make these super fun fabric stamps. You can collect them, you can sew them onto things, you can put them on mail, but make sure to use your paid postage too.